Have you ever found yourself sitting in front of your screen? Another loss. You did everything right this time. You followed your plan, you waited for your setup, you managed your risk, you stayed disciplined, and still, the market took your money. Again. You feel something in your chest, tightness, frustration, maybe anger, maybe shame. You think to yourself, what am I missing? You've read the books, you've studied the charts, you understand support and resistance, you know about risk-reward ratios, you've watched hundreds of hours of content, but none of it is fixing this. The pain isn't going away. And here's what nobody told you. That pain? It's not a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're in the most important phase of your entire trading journey. The painful phase. The phase that separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. And if you're in it right now, I need you to understand something. You are exactly where you need to be. Let me explain why. When someone starts trading, they go through 3 distinct phases. Most people don't know this. They think trading is just about learning strategies and applying them, but that's not how it works. Trading is a psychological journey, and like any journey, it has stages. Let me walk you through them. Phase 1. The fun phase. This is where it all begins. You open your first trades, maybe you win, maybe you lose, but everything feels exciting. The possibilities seem endless. You think about the freedom, the money, the lifestyle. You feel like you've discovered something special, something that could change your life. In this phase, wins feel amazing. They confirm that you're smart, that you're capable, that you can do this. Even losses don't hurt that much yet. You brush them off. You tell yourself it's part of learning. You stay optimistic. You stay hungry. But here's the problem. During this phase, you think the market is responding to your analysis. You think your wins are because of your skill. You don't realize yet that the market doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your opinion. It doesn't care about your strategy. The market simply moves based on the collective actions of all participants. And your early results? They're random. You just don't know it yet. Then something shifts. You enter phase 2, the painful phase. This is where most traders spend years. Some never leave. This is where the losses start adding up. This is where you realize that knowing what to do and actually doing it are 2 completely different things. You start experiencing fear. Real fear. The kind that makes you hesitate when your setup appears. The kind that makes you exit trades too early. The kind that keeps you up at night replaying your mistakes. You also experience greed. You start chasing. You overtrade. You convince yourself that this next trade will make back everything you lost. You know you shouldn't, but you do it anyway. And then there's anger. Anger at yourself. Anger at the market. Anger at the screen in front of you. You feel out of control. You feel like something is broken inside of you. You wonder if you're just not cut out for this. Here's what makes this phase so painful. You keep learning more. You keep studying. You keep trying to fix your strategy, but nothing changes. The pain doesn't go away. You start to wonder if you're going in circles. You start to doubt everything. This is the phase where most people quit. They decide trading isn't for them. They walk away. They tell themselves they tried. And honestly, I understand why. Because this phase is brutal. But here's what you need to know. If you can survive this phase, if you can stay in the process long enough, you reach phase 3, the consistent phase. This is where everything changes. Not because you found some magical strategy, not because the market suddenly started behaving, but because you changed. Your relationship with the market changed. Your beliefs changed. Your emotional responses changed. In this phase, you accept uncertainty. You accept that anything can happen. You stop trying to be right. You stop needing to be right. You execute your trades without attachment. You win without excitement. You lose without devastation. You understand that trading is a probability game. Each trade is just one outcome in a series of thousands, and your job is simply to execute with discipline, over and over. That's it. But here's the part most traders don't understand. You cannot skip phase 2. You cannot jump from the fun phase directly to consistency. The painful phase is mandatory. It's where the real transformation happens. And that's what I want to talk about today.
Let me ask you something. When you lose a trade, what actually hurts? Is it the money? Sometimes, but usually it's something deeper. It's your ego. It's your expectations. It's your need to be right. Let me explain what I mean. Most traders enter the market with beliefs they don't even realize they have. They believe that if they work hard enough, they should win. They believe that if they analyze correctly, they should profit. They believe that losses mean they did something wrong. These beliefs feel natural. They feel obvious. But in the market, they're poison. The market is completely neutral. It doesn't reward hard work. It doesn't care about your analysis. It doesn't owe you anything. The market simply reflects the supply and demand of all participants at any given moment. That's it. Price moves up, price moves down, based on the flow of orders, not based on what should happen, not based on what you think will happen, just based on what is happening. But here's what we do. We take this neutral movement of price and we attach meaning to it. We make it personal. When we lose, we think the market is against us. We think we're stupid. We think we failed. When we win, we think we're brilliant. We think we figured it out. We think we conquered something. Both reactions are wrong, because the market isn't doing anything to you, it's just doing what it does. The pain you feel comes from the gap between your expectations and reality. You expected to win. You lost. You expected the trade to work. It didn't. You expected that being smart and prepared would protect you. It didn't. That gap creates suffering. And the bigger your ego, the bigger that gap becomes. Let me tell you what ego does to a trader. Ego makes you think you can predict the future. Ego makes you think your analysis is special. Ego makes you defensive when you're wrong. Ego makes you double down when you should cut. Ego makes you risk too much because you're confident. And ego makes every loss feel like a personal attack, like the market is telling you you're not good enough. But here's the truth. The market isn't telling you anything about your worth as a person. It's simply showing you that you don't control outcomes. And until you accept that, truly accept that, you will suffer. Think about it this way. Imagine you're flipping a coin. Heads you win, tails you lose. If you flip the coin and it lands on tails, do you feel stupid? Do you feel like you failed? No, because you understand that the outcome is random. You understand that you have no control over which side the coin lands on. Now imagine if you believed you could predict the coin flip. Imagine if you studied coin flips for months. Imagine if you developed a system for calling heads or tails. And then imagine betting money on it. When you're wrong, how would you feel? Probably frustrated, maybe angry, maybe embarrassed. Why? Because you attached your ego to a random outcome. That's what most traders do. They attach their ego to something they cannot control, and then they suffer when reality doesn't match their predictions. The market is telling you the same thing the coin flip would tell you. You don't control outcomes. You can only control your process, your risk, your discipline, your execution. That's it. Everything else is probability. Now let's talk about fear. Fear of loss. This is a huge one. Most traders are so afraid of losing that they sabotage themselves before they even start. They hesitate, they second guess, they freeze when their setup appears, or they cut winners too early because they're afraid the profit will disappear. Fear makes you act from a place of protection instead of execution. And when you're trying to protect yourself, you cannot trade properly. Here's what fear really is. Fear is resistance to uncertainty. You want certainty. You want guarantees. You want to know that if you take this trade, it will work. But the market never gives you that. Ever. Every single trade has risk. Every single trade could go against you. There is no setup, no strategy, no analysis that removes uncertainty. And until you make peace with that, fear will control you. The traders who make it to consistency all had to face this. They had to rewire their relationship with uncertainty. They had to accept that they will lose, often, and that losing doesn't mean anything about them. It just means probability played out in a way that didn't favor them this time. That's it. Here's another thing that causes pain. Attachment to outcomes. You take a trade, you watch it, you want it to work, you need it to work. Maybe because you lost on the last 3 trades. Maybe because you want to prove to yourself that you can do this. Maybe because you need the money. Whatever the reason, you're attached, and attachment creates suffering. When you're attached to an outcome, you stop seeing the market clearly. You start hoping, you start wishing, you ignore signals that tell you to get out, you hold on too long, you convince yourself it will turn around, and then when it doesn't, you feel crushed because you invested emotionally in something you couldn't control. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about the process, not the outcome. It means you execute your trade and then you let go. You let the market do what it's going to do. You accept whatever happens, win or lose. You stay neutral. You stay calm. You move on to the next trade. This sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things for a trader to learn. So let me bring this all together. The pain you're feeling isn't coming from the market. It's coming from inside you. It's coming from your ego, your expectations, your need to be right, your fear of loss, your attachment to outcomes. The market is just showing you where you're out of alignment, where your beliefs and behaviors don't match the reality of how trading actually works. And until you change those beliefs, the pain will continue.
Now let me explain what's really happening during the painful phase. On the surface, it feels like nothing is improving. You're still losing. You're still making mistakes. You're still feeling emotional. You wonder if you're making any progress at all. But here's what you can't see. Deep inside, you're being rewired. Your brain is changing. Your beliefs are shifting. Your emotional patterns are being reshaped. This process is invisible, but it's the most important work you'll ever do as a trader. Think about this. You've spent your entire life being rewarded for being right. School rewarded you for right answers. Work rewards you for good performance. Relationships rewards you for understanding and connecting. Your whole identity is built around being capable, being smart, being successful. And then you enter the market, and the market doesn't care about any of that. In the market, being right doesn't guarantee you make money. Being smart doesn't guarantee you win. Working hard doesn't guarantee results. The market operates on a completely different set of rules than the rest of your life. And your brain doesn't know what to do with that, so it fights. It resists. It tries to force the old ways of thinking onto this new environment, and that creates suffering. What needs to happen is a complete shift in how you think about success and failure. You need to stop measuring yourself by individual trades. You need to start thinking in probabilities. You need to accept that you're going to be wrong. A lot. Even the best traders are wrong 40 to 50% of the time, but they make money because they cut their losses and let their winners run. They don't judge themselves based on being right. They judge themselves based on following their process. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens through repetition, through pain, through losing and sitting with that loss without running away, through making mistakes and choosing to stay disciplined the next time, through feeling fear and taking the trade anyway. Every time you do this, you're building new neural pathways. You're teaching your brain that it's safe to be uncertain, that it's okay to be wrong, that you can lose and still be fine. But here's why this phase feels so long. Your brain is stubborn. It doesn't want to change. Change feels dangerous. Your old beliefs kept you safe in other areas of life, so your brain keeps trying to apply them to trading, and every time it does, you suffer. And slowly, painfully, through that suffering, your brain starts to learn. It starts to realize that the old ways don't work here, and it starts to let go. This is an identity shift. You're not just learning new skills, you're becoming a different person. The person you were when you started trading cannot become consistently profitable. That person has too much ego, too much need for control, too much attachment. The person who becomes consistently profitable is humble, patient, disciplined, emotionally neutral. That's a different identity, and becoming that person takes time. Most traders don't understand this. They think they just need to find the right strategy. They think they need more knowledge, more indicators, more analysis. But what they really need is to change themselves. And that's terrifying, because it means admitting that the problem isn't out there. It's in here, inside of you. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're someone who has always needed to control everything in your life. You plan, you prepare, you make sure everything goes the way you want it to. That's how you feel safe. Now you enter trading, and you quickly realize that you cannot control the market. You cannot make it do what you want. No matter how much you plan or prepare, price moves on its own. This creates massive internal conflict. Your need for control is being challenged, and your brain starts panicking. At first, you try harder.
You analyze more. You look for better setups. You think if you just get good enough, you can control the outcomes. But it doesn't work, because control in trading is an illusion. So you suffer, you lose, you get frustrated, and slowly, if you stay in the process, something shifts. You start to realize that you don't need to control the market, you just need to control yourself. You start to realize that letting go actually feels better than holding on. This is rewiring. This is transformation. Or imagine you're someone who ties your self-worth to your success. When you win, you feel good about yourself. When you lose, you feel like a failure. Trading will destroy this pattern because you're going to lose, often. And if every loss makes you feel worthless, you won't last. So what has to happen? You have to separate your self-worth from your results. You have to build an identity that isn't dependent on winning. You have to find worth in your discipline, your courage, your willingness to stay in the game. This takes time. It takes losses. It takes sitting with discomfort and choosing to show up anyway. This is why the painful phase exists, not to punish you, but to break down the parts of you that cannot trade successfully, to strip away the ego, the need for control, the attachment, the fear, and to build something new in its place. A trader who can execute without emotion, who can lose without falling apart, who can win without getting overconfident. This is the work, and it's hard, but it's necessary. Here's what I want you to understand. If it feels like nothing is improving, that's actually okay, because the real improvement is happening where you can't see it. Every trade you take with discipline, even if it loses, is training your brain. Every time you feel fear and trade anyway, you're building courage. Every time you accept a loss and move on, you're practicing detachment. This is the work, and it adds up, even when you can't see it yet.
Let me tell you why this phase is not just difficult, but necessary. The painful phase exists to teach you things that cannot be taught any other way. You cannot read about these lessons in a book and understand them. You cannot watch a video and internalize them. You have to live them. You have to feel them. You have to experience the pain, sit with it, and come out the other side. That's the only way. The first thing the painful phase teaches you is emotional neutrality. This is the ability to stay calm regardless of what the market does. Winning doesn't make you feel like a genius. Losing doesn't make you feel like a failure. You stay balanced. You stay centered. This sounds simple, but it's incredibly difficult to achieve, because our brains are wired to react emotionally to gains and losses. We feel pleasure when we win. We feel pain when we lose. These are automatic responses. They're biological. But as a trader, you need to override these responses. You need to train yourself to observe the market without emotional reaction. And the only way to build this skill is through exposure. You have to lose money and sit with the discomfort until it becomes familiar, until it stops overwhelming you. You have to win money and resist the urge to feel invincible. This is emotional conditioning, and it only happens through repeated experience. The second thing this phase teaches you is acceptance of risk. Every trade has risk. You know this intellectually, but do you accept it emotionally? Most traders don't. They take a trade and then immediately start hoping it works. They start stressing about it. They start checking it constantly. This is a sign that they haven't truly accepted the risk. If you've accepted the risk, you don't stress, because you've already made peace with the possibility of losing. True acceptance means this. When you put on a trade, you've already mentally let go of that money. You're no longer attached to it. You're not hoping. You're not wishing. You've accepted that this trade could go to zero, and you're okay with that. Because you know that over a series of trades, your edge will play out. This one trade doesn't matter. What matters is executing your process over and over with discipline. But you can't fake this acceptance. You can't just tell yourself you accept the risk and expect your emotions to follow. You have to build it. And you build it by risking money, losing it, and realizing that you survived, that you're okay. That one loss doesn't destroy you. Over time, your nervous system learns that risk is manageable and acceptance becomes real. The third thing this phase teaches you is probabilistic thinking. This is the understanding that you're playing a game of numbers. No single outcome matters. What matters is whether your edge plays out over time.
Let me explain this differently. Imagine you have a strategy that wins 60% of the time. That means 4 out of every 10 trades will lose. If you take 10 trades, you could easily have a string of 3 or 4 losses in a row. Does that mean your strategy is broken? No. It means probability is playing out. Those losses are part of your edge. But if you don't think probabilistically, you panic after 2 losses. You start doubting your strategy. You start changing things. You start second-guessing. And then you never give your edge a chance to work. Probabilistic thinking means understanding that short-term results are random. Anything can happen in the next 10 trades. But over 100 trades, over 1,000 trades, your edge will show itself. This is a radical shift from how most people think, and it only comes through experience. The painful phase forces you to confront randomness. It forces you to lose when you were certain you'd win. It forces you to win when you thought you'd lose. And through this, you start to see that you cannot predict individual outcomes. You can only trust your process and let probability work. The fourth thing this phase teaches you is discipline. Real discipline. Not the kind where you follow rules when it's easy, but the kind where you follow rules when every fiber of your being wants to do something else. When you're afraid, when you're angry, when you're desperate, that's when discipline matters. And you cannot build that kind of discipline without being tested. Every time you feel fear and take the trade anyway, you're building discipline. Every time you want to revenge trade and you don't, you're building discipline. Every time you follow your stop loss, even though you want to give it more room, you're building discipline. This is repetition under pressure, and it's the only way to build unshakable discipline. Here's what most traders don't realize. Discipline isn't about willpower. It's about conditioning. It's about training yourself to respond automatically in the right way, and that only happens through repetition, through choosing the right action over and over until it becomes your default. The painful phase gives you endless opportunities to practice. Every trade, every loss, every moment of fear or doubt. These are all opportunities to choose discipline, and slowly it becomes who you are. So when you're in the painful phase, understand this. You're not failing. You're training. You're building skills that cannot be built any other way. You're developing emotional neutrality, acceptance of risk, probabilistic thinking, unshakable discipline. These are the foundations of consistency, and they're being built inside you right now, even if you can't see it.
Now I want to talk directly to you. If you're in the painful phase right now, I know how hard this is. I know you're tired. I know you're questioning whether this is worth it. I know you feel alone, like you're the only one struggling while everyone else seems to have it figured out. Let me tell you something. Everyone goes through this. Every successful trader you've ever heard of went through this exact phase. They felt what you're feeling. They doubted what you're doubting. The only difference between them and the traders who quit is that they stayed. They didn't give up. So here's what I want you to do. First, stop judging yourself. Stop beating yourself up for every mistake. Stop thinking you should be further along than you are. You're exactly where you need to be. The painful phase is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of growth. You're being transformed. And transformation is uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. Second, focus on your process, not your results. Stop obsessing over your profit and loss. Stop counting your wins and losses. Start asking yourself different questions. Did I follow my rules today? Did I execute with discipline? Did I manage my risk properly? These are the things you can control. These are the things that matter. If you focus on your process and trust it, the results may take care of themselves over time. Third, accept that you will lose. Often. This is not a flaw in your strategy. This is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. Losses are part of trading. They're information. They're feedback. They're the cost of doing business. When you lose, don't spiral. Don't panic. Just ask yourself if you followed your rules. If you did, then the loss doesn't matter. Move on to the next trade. Fourth, risk only what you can afford to lose. If the money you're risking is causing you stress, you're risking too much. You need to be able to lose that money and be completely okay. Because if you're stressed about the money, you cannot execute properly. You'll hesitate. You'll exit too early. You'll make emotional decisions.
Trade small enough that losses don't hurt emotionally. This is how you build confidence and discipline. Fifth, be patient with yourself. This transformation takes time. There's no shortcut. There's no hack. You cannot rush it. Some traders need 6 months in the painful phase. Some need 2 years. Some need 5. It doesn't matter how long it takes. What matters is that you stay in the process, that you keep showing up, that you keep learning, that you keep refining. Time is going to pass anyway, so use it wisely. Sixth, keep a journal. Write down your trades. Write down what you felt. Write down what you learned. This is how you track your growth, because the changes happening inside you are subtle. You won't notice them day to day, but if you look back 3 months, 6 months, a year, you'll see how far you've come. You'll see patterns you've broken, beliefs you've changed, progress you've made. This journal will be proof that you're moving forward, even when it doesn't feel like it. Seventh, remember why you started. Why did you want to trade? What drew you to this? Was it the freedom, the challenge, the potential? Whatever it was, reconnect with it. Because when things get hard, you need something bigger than money to keep you going. You need a purpose, a vision, a reason to push through the pain. And finally, be kind to yourself. You're doing something incredibly difficult. Most people can't do what you're doing. Most people quit at the first sign of discomfort. But you're still here. You're still trying. You're still fighting. That takes courage. That takes strength. So give yourself credit. Honor the work you're doing, even on the days when it feels like you're getting nowhere. Let me tell you what's on the other side of this phase. Peace, clarity, confidence. Not the fake confidence that comes from a few winning trades, but real confidence, the kind that comes from knowing who you are, from trusting your process, from being unshakable. When you reach the consistent phase, trading becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. You know what to do, you do it. You don't overthink, you don't second guess, you execute and move on. You stop caring about individual trades. You stop getting excited about wins. You stop getting devastated by losses. You just trade, day after day, week after week. And the profits compound, not because you're trying harder, but because you've become the kind of person who can win. You've built the psychology that success requires. And once you have that, no one can take it away from you. But you can only get there by going through the painful phase. There's no way around it. You have to face your fears. You have to confront your ego. You have to lose and sit with that discomfort. You have to make mistakes and learn from them. This is the price of admission, and it's worth it. I promise you, it's worth it. So if you're in the pain right now, don't run, don't quit, don't look for shortcuts. Stay. Sit with it. Let it change you. Trust the process. Trust yourself. You're closer than you think. The breakthrough is coming, but only if you stay long enough to experience it.
Here's what I want you to take away from this. The painful phase is not your enemy. It's your teacher. It's showing you what needs to change. It's breaking down the old version of you so the new version can emerge. The version that can trade with discipline, with patience, with emotional control. That version is being built right now, through every loss, through every mistake, through every moment of doubt. Most traders see the painful phase as something to escape. They think if they just find the right strategy, they can skip it. But you can't. This phase is necessary. It's where the real work happens. Not the work of learning technical analysis, but the work of transforming yourself, of becoming someone who can handle uncertainty, who can accept risk, who can lose without falling apart. This is what separates professionals from amateurs. So embrace it. Stop resisting. Stop wishing it would end. Instead, see it for what it is, an opportunity, a chance to become something more than you were, a chance to build skills that will serve you for the rest of your trading career. Every day you stay in this phase, you're getting stronger. Every trade you take with discipline, you're getting better. The progress is happening, even if you can't see it yet. And one day, you'll look back on this time and understand. You'll see that the painful phase wasn't punishment, it was preparation. It was the fire that forged you into a consistently profitable trader, and you'll be grateful for it, because without it, you never would have become who you needed to be. So keep going, stay disciplined, trust your process,
trust yourself. The painful phase ends, but only for those who refuse to quit. Be one of them.